What is up, everybody? Welcome to Reezy Talks episode number 100 with the motherfucking OG living legend, Gary V. And if you don't know who he is, Google that shit because we don't have fucking time for that. What's up, Gary?
How are you?
I'm fucking excellent, bro. Thank you for having me. I know your time is super valuable and you could do a million things, so I'm super stoked to have this opportunity. And seeing as the holidays are coming up,
yes,
I brought you some stuff. I'm going to have to Nardwar you real quick. Do you know who
sweet.
Nardwar is?
No.
Famous interviewer, but... So this
I
thing...
like the Jets wrapping paper. And by the way, he said, thanks for having me, and it's his show. We're actually at VaynerMedia in New York City, so everybody who's just listening and was confused.
Yeah, it's weird. I normally do my
love
show at my spot.
Justin, good news. My brother-in-law Justin's here who knows I love to, and he loves to play games. So this is a Jets monopoly, so... I'm pretty fired up about this.
So
Thank you.
Funny story behind this.
Please.
If you're listening, it's Jets Monopoly. This is vintage, and I found this at a yard sale over a year ago. They wanted two. They didn't get it. They got one, and it wasn't worth flipping, but I told myself, you know who would love to have this? Fucking Gary. I'm going to give this to Gary someday.
I appreciate
And so
it.
now we're here, and I'm giving it to you.
Ooh. You see that?
And I'm not done
Backboard.
yet. I got one more for you.
You're very sweet. Thank you, brother.
So, you always got to come bearing gifts. So remember when I was on your show last time and you said
Yes.
you were going to give away 100 scanners?
Yes.
And it didn't happen.
This is awesome.
Thanks.
Look at this.
Thanks to my buddies at Scout IQ, we are giving away 100 reseller starter kits
That's awesome.
that have a Bluetooth scanner and 3 free months to Scout IQ. It's like a $250
That's
thing
a great
and a
job by
t-shirt.
them.
If you
Good
guys
job by
want to
them.
win one, go to reezytalks.com to enter the giveaway. This is number 1 of 100, and it's for you.
I love
That
it.
way, when you go to do trash talk,
I love it.
you can scan books like
I love
the pros
it.
do.
I love it.
I'm fucking pumped, bro.
I'm impressed by the pros. There's a lot of pros around here right now.
Dude. So, first off, let's take it super basic.
Okay.
Why do you love the flip game so much?
I think I'm sure a lot of it's genetics. I think for a lot of people who are listening who've become aware of you or watching this for the first time because I gave it a push or, they searched my name. I think there's a lot of people in the last couple of years who've gone out for the first time and right away they just loved it. There's for me, the true answer is I love the hunt. I love the process. When I think about my life, the chase of buying the New York Jets, building businesses, the grind and loneliness of entrepreneurship, even being a grammar school kid who really loved the idea of trying to get like my 5th grade crush to like me, and that was the win, the process. I'm about the process, and I think and I love the thrill of the hunt. And there's very few things in my life that get my juices going, like pulling up at a garage sale. I mean, this is why I've never gone to the level of building scale, to me...
In reselling.
To me, what's so fun is the hunt.
Right.
I don't know,
No, I said...
There's a recent garage sale we went to, and again, seeing... Justin, you were there when I got the records.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah,
the other day?
absolutely.
That was the last one. Right. Just like the thought of like seeing something in the corner, like the game, right? Like going to a garage sale, noticing that this stuff's kind of vintage and the family's a little weird and there might be something, not seeing anything, seeing something from the corner of eye, grabbing it, getting into like a weird conversation, which leads to the kid going downstairs and bring out a whole box. Like the hunt.
Right, yeah. I was actually just talking with Larry about that, and I was saying Amazon doesn't get me pumped like what you're talking about, like eBay or yard sales. I make all of my money on Amazon, very little on eBay. But if I scan 1,000 books and I find 3 that are worth 100, cool, I made $300 in a day or a few hours or whatever. But what gets me juiced is that box of loose pens at the garage sale. How much for that pen? 25 cents. I knew it was a gold pen. It's worth $150 or whatever. It's not scalable.
Even when smartphones came along. So everybody's listening. This is something I did in 1992, 1993, 1994. Some of you weren't even born. And this is how I made side money. Like, probably around the time my parents never gave me money. Probably by the time I was 12, my parents stopped buying me things, and that was a huge advantage. But I was also a lemonade stand kid, a hustler baseball card kid. I was always that kind of kid. And when I got my license, in 1993, that's when it really opened up because, obviously for a lot of us, getting a car is like super liberating. But for me, it was like less about going out with my buddies or like going out at night or things of that nature. It was like, wait a minute. I can now stop at any garage sale and not nag the shit out of my mom. Mom, you have to stop. I have to run to this. And what was really interesting, and this will make a ton of sense to you and anybody who follows me, the first stuff I started buying was literally just pop culture nostalgia. I vividly remember buying a Happy Days board game in 1992 for $0.25 and just knowing it was worth more than the $6 million Man, Raggedy Ann. I've always, to this moment, have really understood the value of nostalgia. The whole Comic-Con phenomenon, like that was just something intuitively I understood. And so, yeah, I totally get it. Like a lot of what I've pushed over the last 18 months in the awareness that I've given to this, different from the pros, you, Larry, things of that nature. You guys are on a different kick, a different level, a more extreme level, a more professional level of like full and utter, this is what I do for a living. I think that what I've noticed has really worked about what I've said is for the people a little bit like you and me who really love the hunt and easily and very practically through thrift stores, Goodwill and garage sales are able to actually make $1,000 to $2,000 a month and love the game. Whereas even what you were talking about before we went on air here about like scaling your business now you're talking about the other part of my life, operations,
right?
Like how I built Wine Library, how I've built this VaynerMedia. Like that's a totally different thing. I'm very good at it. I wildly enjoy it, but we landed a $10 million contract recently at Vayner for 2020 for VaynerMedia. When I tell you, if I went to a garage sale this Saturday and found a Gremlin PVC for $0.25 that goes for $9.25 on eBay, take into account gas, fees, packing, time, there's no comparison to the juices that go through my body.
I get
None.
it. I get it. I got it. That's awesome, dude.
It's just the truth. That's just the utter truth. And and people are like, that's so crazy. I'm like, no, it's not. Do you love skiing more than making money? Do you love running, triathlons, watching
Right.
sports, like surfing, golfing? Like almost everybody I know prefers something else than the process of making money. Those are their hobbies.
Right.
Making money, ironically, is my hobby. I'm super pumped that people are starting. What's crazy to me, again, like looking at you, Larry, look at having this room, Justin, it's really practical. Like if you're willing to be humble and grind, it's unbelievable. When I think about how much money was made by professional resellers in the last 4 days between Black Friday, the weekend, and today on Cyber Monday, we're filming this on Cyber Monday. Like if I was really in the game and really at scale, I feel like I could make $500,000 in profit over the last 4 days.
Yeah, definitely.
Just by completely going ham, having 30 full-time employees, which is big.
Right.
We're talking at scale now. But like, of course.
Yeah, it's definitely extremely practical. So if you're listening to this and you want to get into Amazon and your first thought is fucking drop shipping, fuck that. You need to sell physical goods. It's just practical. Start with used stuff, move on the way up. So you said you're all about the hunt and the chase.
Yes.
Another thing that I know you're about is the attention and the consumer behavior and where the attention goes. And I've been dying to ask you this question for 3 years. You said when you were a young hustler doing lemonade stands that you would sit at the intersection and watch the eyeballs of people to see where you should put your signs. That's like website hotspot shit. How the fuck did you learn that at such a young age? 9 years old, and what was the precursor to that?
I don't know. That to me is no different than Beyonce waking up one morning when she's 4 and starting to sing. That was pure.
So the same skill that you used when you were at the baseball, trading baseball cards, watching how people looked at the table, then placing your higher dollar cards in those orders. That's the same skill, and you're just saying you have that innately, and there's no
100%.
precursor to that.
Yes, that's right.
That's fucking amazing.
You know, it's really interesting. I did the National Baseball Card Convention in Chicago this last July, and D-Rock who, if you're listening, that there's David Rock, who has been filming me for 4 years, kind of nonstop. He was completely taken aback by the way I was setting up the table. It's just funny. I don't think he said this, but I remember thinking at the time, because he kind of looked at me, he like laughed or said something. And I remember thinking, like, man, this guy must be like laughing. Like, he watches me 1 minute before I take the stage to talk in front of 20,000 people. And I'm like kind of nonchalant, yet this baseball card convention's about to open in 20 minutes. And the intensity of me moving around like this table to this box to, we had the Gary V pat, like just like the sheer focus.
Right.
Yeah, it took me you probably know this because you consume my content. It was a speech while I was talking that I was doing kind of my normal, I was a lemonade stand kid, baseball card thing. And it just kind of like, how your brain works, just remembered. I was like, wait a minute. Because I think I was thinking about like, I always think of myself as humble and in the dirt. And I was like, why didn't I have the humility to stand behind the table? Like, was I at 6 or 7? Did I think I was a big shot and like make Robbie Turnick and Marissa and Eric Godfrey stand by the table? And then that's what led me to like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, what are you doing at that moment? And that's what it was. And yes, like probably somewhere in the last half decade, I realized I've been chasing attention my whole life. And whether it was Tingley Lane in Edison, New Jersey, putting up a sign, or whether it's understanding that TikTok is now in its moment, it's been the same game.
Do you feel maybe that chasing your father's attention was part of developing that skill?
That's an interesting question. I don't know, but it's a really good question. It's interesting. When I hear that question from you, it's so thoughtful and some on like psychology shit that it gets me pumped, and I'm trying to give it the respect of how good of a question it is. I don't want affirmation from individual people, but I love macro affirmation. So on a one-to-one basis, I haven't noticed me gravitate towards acceptance by an individual, which is back to like why high school worked or things of that nature. But I think the way I'm approaching myself, I want the world's affirmation, admiration, respect, love, not my mom or dad or kids or... Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I think of that a lot. I think about my energy on a one-to-one basis versus what happens when the camera's on or when I'm on stage. I think about how cheering or booing is something I always recognize, not an individual person saying you're good, you're bad. I also, wonder, that was so early too. Mm-hmm. I was really that was 82. That was like, I was 7. Like,
subconscious.
Definitely, potentially. Maybe, but it's funny. I don't feel like I've never over or underreacted to my mom or dad's individual praise or pushbacks.
Right. It's not like you hacked your dad's attention by working in the liquor store. You had to work in the liquor store.
I've always focused on beating my dad. Being a better businessman than my dad is a real energy. My dad... Because
he respects that.
You have to also understand something that people don't realize, and I've said it recently. My dad was great at saying I love you. And hugging me and being affectionate. He wasn't around a whole lot. He's quiet. But he also, even in the beginning when he was probably a little bit colder, more removed for me, obviously we built our relationship during going from 14 to 30. I think people look for that when their parents don't praise or show affection. I didn't have that issue with either parent, very luckily. So I don't think I gravitated towards it because I think I was getting physical and even verbal affirmation.
Right. So we both had, not the best upbringings. You're an immigrant. I grew up super duper poor, neglected, abused, welfare, government healthcare, all that stuff. And I'm super thankful for it because it gave me a huge advantage. Because, for one, being neglected, I learned to get attention and what to do with it. And because I never had anything, I could give a fuck less. I had nothing to lose. Anything was better than that. And I existed with my back against the wall. So I'm comfortable as shit with my back against the wall. But many people are not. Many adults in this world, you know, they don't want to take any risk. I tell them how to hustle, and they're like, but what if? And I'm like, yo, if there's no what ifs, it's not even worth doing. You know what I mean? And so my question to you is, how can we raise our children to have that mentality, or I guess, can it be taught without being bad parents?
It can be taught easily without being bad parents. I actually think, you know, listen, I had a great childhood in the fact that I think I had the blend of the two. You know, I don't come from the background that a lot of people come from, true poverty or true like abuse, whether mental, physical. So I think there's a lot of people similar to me that come from an energy that's darker than mine. I think my energy is more lighter by luck. You know, that's not me being better. That's me being a product of my circumstance. I think my chip on the shoulder is real because I also I'm a byproduct of being super loved, but not being handed anything. And so I think the way to be a great parent is kind of what happened with me, which is you can love your child, you can shower them with praise when they deserve it.
No fifth place trophies.
You know where this is going. And so like I think the biggest issue for parents today is they create entitlement. And that's different than spoiling your kids. Like, for example, I'm happy to spoil my kids, but I verbally often I used to ask my daughter this weekend, you know, what are you going to do when I don't buy you this stuff? You know,
What'd she say?
She said, I don't know. I said, well, you're going to have to get a job. She's like, yeah. Right. You know, and now the key is when she is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, every parent gets to decide when they cut their children off financially. I'm a big buyer and believer of cutting your children off financially to lead to happiness. What you're talking about is something else, which is even more important. How you get your kids to not care about other people's opinions is a tricky one, because as I've thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, my parents, my dad more than my mom, but my dad also hit it, and I also wasn't around him as much. My mom genuinely didn't give a fuck about what people thought. You know, all the Russian immigrants stayed in New York. All the Russian immigrants went on vacations and flashed their cash as they got older. You know, and my mom was referred to by Russian friends and acquaintances as like the girl that's in the boondocks doing nothing with her life. Now all at family weddings and reunions, they all praise my mom and put her on a pedestal because they all have children who've had far more adversities in their adulthood than my mother has. And a lot of that had to do with the foundational work she did. You know, now this is about insecurities. You know, my brother, my sister, and I are all different, even though we have the same parenting. This comes down to, what are you insecure about? And then more importantly, I'm a big buyer, and I've said it a lot, is like, you need to, you know, listen, privacy matters, but like sharing your deepest, darkest things sometimes is an unlock. Listen, nobody wants to do what you say and talk about because they don't have the humility, because they don't want their friends to think they're garbage people.
Right. It's like riding a moped.
100%. People are completely freaked out by me. Like when I did the first Trash Talk, I think the way Trash Talk went was, I think maybe the first time I did it on Instagram stories, and like I could tell that it was like some juice there. So then me and D-Rock decided to film it. A lot of my friends, a lot of my business acquaintances, business friends, flat out hit me up and were like, are you okay? Like, why are you doing this?
What the fuck are you doing on your knees at a garage
And this
sale?
was also at a time where I think I was in the beginning stages of this next level of me. Like, I was clearly starting to blow up even more. So a lot of friends were kind of like, yo, you can't do this. Like, you're starting to shine. Like, you know, they weren't by the way, they weren't that cool with their slang. They were more like, hey, you should not do this. You know, this is a bad look. You're a professional. Like, what will the CEOs and CMOs of the biggest companies in the world, what about all these hedge fund and private equity guys and gals? What about all these famous people you're starting to hang out with? What are they going to think? And like, it was even interesting to me because I was like, it didn't even cross my mind. I was like, what the fuck are these people talking about?
You could give a fuck.
Especially because I was getting immediate feedback on DM from people like, wait, I can do this?
Yep.
Like, this is real? Like, I remember it actually now vividly. Now I'm recalling. Most of the DMs were like, staged. You know, like, people are in the business of being
internet.
no.
Right.
You know, people are in the business of saying no.
So here's next segue. So do you think that the flip life, you know, the Smurf PVC 25 cent to $9.25, is that how your mind's working when you're thinking about buying Peter Pan peanut butter and
Yes.
flipping it? And
100%.
so those skills translated, it's the same thing for you.
The deal I did with K-Swiss is the same thing I think about, which, like, why buy a plush Alf?
How many pairs of O1s you got dead stock?
O1s?
Yeah.
3? Like, I don't.
Those are my favorite.
It's funny. Like, I don't have. Like, I'm bad at that. Like, I'm hopeful that I have every pair. I feel like I might be missing
I figured you'd
one.
have a storage locker and be
I think
waiting
Tyler's
on
got me covered, but like, I genuinely don't know. Yeah, it's all the same game. That's right.
Awesome. So this question is super important to me and a lot of my audience because as resellers, what we do is based on two parts of the whole consumer experience. How are they buying and how are the stores selling? Because we're mostly buying from retail stores. I use stuff sometimes, garage sales, thrift stores, but more towards the new stuff for this question. How do you see the future of the consumer shopping experience, retail, online?
Last mile. 1 hour delivery.
And then where do we fit into that as resellers? Because, you know, what if small towns are like, well, we don't need a Best Buy anymore. We're going to have a Best Buy vending machine with, you know, using AI. They put the top 500 products in there. You know what I mean? Because you see like Japan and stuff, they have all these vending machines.
I think that if you're committed to thinking about the consumer and marketplaces, you're always in the game. The worry is that your margins get squeezed.
Right.
Like, if you're an Amazon new product reseller and tomorrow they announce a different fee structure, the fuck are you going to do about it?
Cry, get some Vaseline.
You know? So I think that one of the things I like about what you two are doing and others are doing is I do think it's important to build a brand outside of. If you're at the mercy of a platform in the middle, you're at the mercy of the platform in the middle.
Right.
Like the example I just said is super real. It's enough to take away enough margin from people that it could affect them.
So how in touch are you with the newer shopping marketplaces that are coming out or that have been out? You know, it's not just eBay and Amazon anymore.
Like
we got
Letgo, Mercari, all that.
We got Mercari, but most importantly, I wanted to ask you about Poshmark, which is mostly for clothing and stuff, and also like Depop too, which is kind of like an Instagram for shopping. But they have Poshmark has a huge social media aspect to it. Like to me, as a businessman, it seems dumb as shit because you have to share your items to the feed, and that's how people see them and it sells. But they just rolled out a story feature on Poshmark as well, so now you can create content of you wearing your dresses, boomerangs, whatever. To me, it just doesn't fucking make sense shopping experience times. So I just don't get it. You know, like I see my daughter, she's 19 and she buys shit off of Depop and she pays $40 for some vintage sweater. And I just go show her, I'm like, look, you could get it off eBay for 20. Why didn't you look on eBay? She's like, eBay's weird.
It's not as cool.
I just don't get it.
Well, there's people that buy $18 martinis because it's a cooler place to drink a martini.
Yeah, that's a fucking good perspective.
Thank you. Episode over. Actually, it's probably the most important part of the episode so far. People need to understand brand. That's why she buys there, because she wants to say she bought it there. It's the same reason that 99% of people aren't going garage sailing and thrifting. They don't want to say they do it.
Well, one thing that I noticed about, because I use my daughter and her friends as like a focus group, right?
It's the best.
It's the best.
So
Pull out your Snapchat. What's your streak? Let me see it. And I noticed that Poshmark, Depop, some of these other sites they're buying from, they use Apple Pay. You can use debit cards.
That's right.
You got to make an account on eBay. You know, you got to make an account on Amazon. You got to link up your credit card, link up your thing.
It's the reason Wine Text exploded for me. You know, for my dad's business, it's just super easy. Once you put in your credit card up front, all you do is reply with a number. Lack of friction.
That's awesome.
Lack of friction. People don't want friction. People want fast. Fast and simple. Like, I think you should make something called trash text and like just have one product a day and it will sell. Just an extra sale every day. But you have phone numbers. Now all of a sudden you can talk. You build a community. Yeah. Listen, to answer your question back to the beginning, unlimited opportunities forever. In 1992, it was garage sales and then going to a flea market and flipping it. That's how I did it. I would buy for weeks at a time and then occasionally go to a flea market and set up. And normally then, I just thought about one of my best deals ever. I set up at a flea market in Neshannock Station, New Jersey, a little small town. And I'm setting up and then I look to the right and this guy just pulls out a ton of original strawberry shortcakes in package. I just walked over and scooped up all of them for a great price, like crushed that. Anyway, there'll always be something.
That's awesome.
There'll always be something if you're good. Who loses when things like that happen is the bottom 50%.
Right. The
That's
people
all.
that aren't willing to put the work
That's
in,
right.
the extra work.
That's right. The ones that found one deal.
Yeah,
right?
it's the same people that
guy
DM me that are like, "Yo, you're fucking ruining the game, Reezy," and I'm like, "What? You know, you have to get off your ass now."
Ruining what game? First of all, you, me, and every single person on YouTube combined that puts out information doesn't remotely dent the game. Let's start with that. Thank you for when people are like, "You're ruining it." I'm like, "Thank you for the ego boost. If you think I'm big enough to ruin a multi-billion-dollar platform in a world where only maybe a couple million people actually know who I am, and 1% of them will do something, thanks
Probably
for
less.
Right. So, I think there'll always be something. There'll always be arbitrage opportunities. But the people that are vulnerable are the people that have one move. I look at resellers the way I look at social media people. A lot of social media celebrities only have Instagram. They're in trouble. If you're only going to TJ Maxx and only flipping on Amazon new stuff from TJ Maxx, you're probably vulnerable.
Yeah.
What if TJ Maxx gets bought tomorrow?
If your business
by
model is
Walmart,
one honey hole.
That's right. You need to really expand. There's always stuff. There was a kid who listened to me carefully and made solar eclipse glasses.
Yep. Brock
Right?
Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the guy. I just remembered the email, but like, they made an ungodly amount of money,
Yeah, on one product.
right? So like, look at pop culture. Like, look at know that Prince Charles is gonna be the king. Like, make King Charles T-shirts and target everybody named Charles. Like, no shit.
Tactical.
No shit. The second you see Visco girls become a thing, figure out what it is and create a Visco girl kit. Buy scrunchies from China for a
Hydro
penny.
flasks.
Hydro flasks for a penny. Shell necklaces for a penny. Get a nice little fucking box. Call it a Visco girl set and fucking go. Like,
That would have
work.
fucking crushed for Halloween. The Visco Girl Halloween.
It would also
fucking-
crush for this Christmas as like a funny gift, like that grandmas would have bought for granddaughters. If you saw that trend like I did in February, you could have had it all together, probably been all in for $6 and fucking had $40 sets crushing on
I
Amazon.
actually think that maybe no one has done that right now.
So like, and that's like,
I can't wait to Google
there's
this.
just a million other things. I don't know, like, pay attention to Huchimura. Had a crazy game last night and dropped 29. He's the first Japanese NBA player. And fucking go buy up all his cards and go start a Line account, which is the big social network in Japan, and fucking flip. Listen, I've come to learn in last year that what I just did for the last minute is a talent. I didn't realize how smart I was when it comes to ideating ideas. So I understand what I just did for last minute is not everyone's talent. But if I can do that in a minute, that's a lot of practice over the last, I'm 44, 38 years to let me do what I just did. You can start the process of trying to get good at that. It's very real, and it will continue to be real.
That is fucking awesome. I literally can't wait to look that up. I got one more question for
Please.
you. If you were me and you just interviewed you, what's your next move?
Well, first you want to leverage my name to get as much awareness for this. So I'd probably run Instagram and Facebook ads against my fans to listen to this episode, right? Because what you're trying to build is awareness. And I've talked enough about this subject matter that there's still a high percent, even though I've given you a bunch of shout outs through the years, pronouncing your name properly, not pronouncing your name properly. There's still I would argue that 90% of the people that follow me that are intrigued or have started doing some version of this probably still don't know who you are. Instagram story ads are so cheap that you can get in front of a lot of my fans with imagery from this and probably build a ton of awareness for $1,000.
Awesome.
That's what I would definitely do. I think the other thing I think that's smart is I kind of black out in these interviews, but like anything that we talked, I'd probably buy a bunch of Huchimura rookie cards, hope that he continues to play well, and then make a 2-minute video in 6 months of the moment where I mentioned it, the video recordings of screenshots of you buying a bunch, and then of you flipping it, and then basically saying like how I took a moment for my own podcast and made $873, like thinking that way. Mm-hmm. You see where I'm going?
Yeah. Love it.
I think that's smart. I also think that if I'm you, I would be thinking a lot about the red paperclip thing. So I think you can show up on Fallon or Kimmel or the Today Show. I think you and every other professional reseller should try the game of how I turned $1 into 10,000 with hardcore documentation. Garage sale.
I flip $1, flip $2.
$9, like really genuinely showing every single thing. Take all the excuses out. Trash talk's the funniest because I just love reading the comments. Yeah, whatever, dude. You spend all your money on gas. I'm like, you mean the same gas you spent to go to work? like people are looking.
They're always like, "What about the gas?" And I always say, like, when you take your girlfriend out on a date, do you count the gas?
Bro, forget about that. Knock it to directly what they're saying. I'm like, this is about alternative income. When you go to work, you're spending money on gas.
They're not figuring it out.
I mean, you know what? I'm definitely doing that in the next Trash Talk. I'm definitely making the first scene me going to a gas station, filling up the tank, and deducting it from the end of the episode and be like, all right, I only made $412 today instead of $453. Sorry.
Those are those same people that they're on me because I'm not saying potential profit. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. We all know it's potential. It's business.
No, by the way, I'm into it. I'm going to put in potential. I'm into like all of it.
Yeah.
Like,
what now?
All of it. Like suffocating out excuses.
Yes.
Anyway, I do think there is a little bit of a national USA Today, AP, like how, I can just wake up and see it. How this guy turned $1 into $43,000 in 3 months. That will go.
Yeah, you could write a book too.
Like a hardcore, like take $1, buy one thing. As you know, as many people listening know, there's an enormous amount of every time there's a town-wide sale. By the way, that's a hack that I want to push more of. Like, I don't garage sale in random garage sales. Like, I don't use Garage Sale or Google to find like one garage sale. I'll only garage sale when there's a town-wide garage sale so that I can hit 52 of them in a 2-hour period.
Efficiency.
Yeah. Now, not every state has town-wides, I've come to learn. And obviously that's that, but like, I think every flipper knows there's a lot of $1 for $40 profits sitting there. Like, I don't even do it for the money. I like the nostalgia. I would argue I could probably I almost think you should buy almost everything. Like, it's kind of scary, actually, when I look at it. Like, I don't like the things where the most money sits. Electronics. Like, I really love reading the comments on Trash Talk to see if people are smart enough. Like, I watch people once in a while. They're like, dude, you left the fucking popcorn maker. That was $28. I'm like, I know. I just don't. Like, I like the Nintendo, the Jets jacket.
Nintendo?
Like, that gets me going.
Yeah.
I'm still. The one thing that I haven't achieved in my career yet is the ludicrous one-off item.
What's the best thing you ever found? I don't mean most
Justin,
valuable. Your favorite thing.
Well, okay, I'll give you
or
that
both,
in a minute.
Or both.
I'll give a couple stories to wrap up. One, I'm looking at Justin. I had a recent one. Like I didn't trash talk it, unfortunately, but the plush fucking thing I did that was nuts. That was $10.
Yeah, and you should have bought more.
Yeah, here's how the story goes. I roll up on a yard. and they just have a fuckload of stuffed animals. And I look with tags on, pop culture. Immediately I see the South Park stuff. I'm like, and I'm funny. I'm a little bit of a purist because I'm completely playing. I hated when phones came along. I love that I knew shit on memory or intuition. So I still kind of do that a little bit. Like, I'll still kind of play it pure and not look shit up. But these, I mean, they had, I don't know, 900 stuffed animals. And I'm like, how much? And they're like, what do you want? And I was like, it was kind of this funny negotiation. I'm like, well, can I fill up some black trash bags that you guys have? They're like, sure. I'm like, how much? They're like, $10 for a bag. I'm like, how about 5? They're like, okay. These are like the huge black ones, right? You know, like I'm like, hefties. I'm like, fuck.
Flex bags.
To Justin's point, what I should have done, and if I was doing trash talk, I would have, because I would have gone for like the hype. I would have bought it all of it. Instead, I bought like 3 bags worth for like $15, but like, I don't know, 700, 900, 1,000.
Sold one for $15, I'm sure.
Oh, there was the South Park ones were like 90 and 70 and 60, like the poopy guy, and like but they were like, oh, it was crazy. So that was a recent big one. There was a monster thrift store score in 2001. I went to a Yankees game. It still sits there, but now Yankee Stadium moved. But there's a thrift store called Thrift Land right next to Yankee Stadium. We go to the game, me, my girlfriend, and a couple friends, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I run into there, and holy fucking shit. When I tell you they had 4,000 video games, Atari and Nintendo, at 50 cents and a dollar. And this is, again, 2001. So this is before video games were...
Before the price started going up.
Yeah, before it got crazy. I bought everything.
Right.
Everything. Bought it all. Didn't even go to the game. It's a great story. Got so hyped, bought everything. Was like, we got to take this home. Left. Didn't go to the game.
Nobody went.
Looked up the games on eBay. This 01. I'll never forget. Crazy Climber for Atari, $180. It's gone down now. I think it's like $70, $80 now. I still look it up once in a blue moon.
Wow.
That was huge. Favorite thing. You know what I love buying? Paper. Non-books. Paper, non-books. Manuals.
Like the playbills thing you told me about last time?
You're the best, bro. Thank you so much. So my favorite score, this is actually true, and you helped me. Thank you. My single favorite score. It's true. And I said it last time on my podcast, but you're absolutely right. Going to a wine meeting.
Same thing. Yard sale.
Thursday or Friday, estate sale. Go in Chatham, New Jersey, going to a meeting with a wine vendor, which I rarely did. Almost always it was at the store. I don't even remember why. See a sign. I'm a little early. Fuck it. Pull in. This is now, AJ's still in high school. AJ's like a junior. AJ, he's 2005. This is like 2003. Pull in. House. Walking through. Find a 1970s Knickerbocker stuffed animal Huckleberry Hound. I'm like, yes. This is fucking legit Hanna-Barbera. Get that for $1. It was like $40, $50. Big score. Go in the basement. See like fucking 30 boxes, liquor and beer boxes. Pull up, look down, playbills. Broadway play. At that point, I've gone to like 2 Broadway plays. I wasn't even sure what the fuck they were, but kind of knew. Old as fuck.
Like yellowish white paper?
Yeah, that's right. 1940s, 50s. Ask them how much. Like the sign says like something good. I remember like 5 for $1 or something like in the mix. I mean, there were fucking 4,000 of them. I go, how much do you want? They're like, for everything? I'm like, everything. They're like, I don't remember. I think they wanted $100, which I was already pumped. I was like, so pumped, right?
They didn't get it.
They didn't even come close. I think they got 40. They got 40. It took me like 20 minutes to like put in the car. Again, call the liquor guy. I'm like, hey, I got to cancel. I'm not feeling well. Drive directly to Hunterdon County, New Jersey, 40 minutes away. Try to get AJ out of school. They wouldn't let me take me out of school. Literally drove to my brother's high school and asked to take him out of school. They're like, we won't let, you're not the guardian. I'm like, fuck. Had to wait like 2 hours. Came out of school. He couldn't wait. I'm sitting in his room, organizing everything. He jumps on the computer and we just start going. when we go through it, we found like 4 1940s Brooklyn Dodgers like programs. We found the original 1941 Pinocchio movie thing. Like there was like, I mean, that one was like tens of thousands for $60. That was 8 to 10,000. I don't want to, not tens of thousands, because we still have them in the attic. We had so many.
Yeah.
I remember desperately wanting to find a rock and roll T-shirt because I kept seeing them on eBay for $200 to $300, $400. And I'm like, these should be so easy. 1980s concert shirts. Never found one. Finally found a Bruce Springsteen 1984 small. I modeled it on eBay, which I remember being. It was like super tight. That went for like $35. For some reason, that still sits as like a good one.
It's weird how.
Oh, that was just a fucking other day. Yeah. I put it on eBay. Right. We went to. Remember the family? This old couple was deaf. That was wild. I was like trying to negotiate with this couple. They were elderly, and they're just not responding. And I'm like, fuck, they can't hear. And then at one point, they're like looking right at me. I'm like, fuck, they're like the greatest negotiators ever. I'm like negotiating, and they're like, fuck you.
Stone cold.
We figured when I finally came to pay for it, unfortunately they were both deaf. It was they were so sweet. Anyway, that was a crazy one. I found like what was the brand? It was like not what were those pants that were Cavariccis? They wasn't Cavariccis. It was like Tashiki. Sergio Tashini. Thank you so much. It was Sergio Tashini suit. Do you remember this picture, Dustin, in the summer? The one with me in the jumpsuit that I looked like I was in Sopranos, that I put on fucking Instagram. I looked completely ridiculous. That thing was like how much you go for? $140. What did I pay? $4? Yeah. Anyway.
That's what the flip life is all about.
Guys, the flip life's super real. Stop fucking around. Don't care what your neighbors and parents say. Just fucking go garage sale and Facebook Marketplace. All these new apps, garage sales, TJ Maxx's, Marshalls, fucking all of it.
Yep.
What's the best score I gotta go. I'm already 5 minutes late, but I need to hear one more story. Give me a flip recently.
The best score.
Something cool in the last 3 to 6 months.
I found a wooden box that had a gold army ring in it. I bought it for $1. How much for this wooden box? Shake it, has some stuff in it. They're like, $1. But I couldn't open it because the knob was missing. Smash it on the curb. Inside was a gold U.S. Army ring. Sold that for $200 to the metal shop that day right away. Then there was a baseball in a Perspex case with a shitload of signatures, a whole team. And I start looking at it, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then I see Willie Mays. I'm like, oh, shit. Turns out it was the last year they were the New York Giants. Has the whole fucking team on there. I learned if it was just Willie Mays, it would be worth way more because team signed balls, coaches do signatures and shit or whatever. That ball's worth like $1,000. It's just sitting on my desk. And then also like in the same box, a really cool vintage Italian switchblade that's worth $200 that I also kept. But all that stuff in a wooden box, seemingly unimportant. How much for this box? $1. Smash it on the curb. Treasure trove.
There's a gunned bear that me and AJ bought for 10 cents. This is when we figured out stuffed animals still kill. Like I've shown it recently, and like people are doing really well with plush. We bought a gunned sailor. It was a sailor bear
with
10
guns.
Cents. Gun, G-U-N-D.
Oh, gunned.
Yep,
Yeah, got
the
you.
company bought it for 10 cents. Went for $3.85.
Damn, super rare one.
Super rare.
With the tag.
No tag.
No tag?
No tag.
Wow, that's crazy. Well,
thank you, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, Gary.
Real pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks
you know what, guys? If you're not flipping, you're slipping. Tune in every Monday night. Turn in every Monday night, 6 p.m. to my live show on YouTube. Catch me on Instagram. Go to ReezyResells.com. Grab my free intro to Amazon course, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.